So you came here today because you're having these sort of strange dreams?
Oh, strange dreams, yeah.
What goes on in these dreams?
Oh, bad.
They're bad dreams?
No, they're strange, bad, good dreams.
But they're good.
They're good.
So...
There's this guy, Angelo. Oh, don't ask about Angelo. I had these dreams, like a premonition of sorts.
Okay.
These faces in my mind.
What faces?
Oh, speedy faces.
Who?
Speedy, that's not right. Sadie.
Dupuis?
Sadie Dupuis.
I see it too.
You see it too.
And there's Matt Mitchell.
He's a boy.
He's a boy.
Beautiful boy. Angel.
It's like a D and a B and a Q. Does that mean anything to you?
DBQ.
Yes.
David Byron Queen!
And me, Geramee Hensley. Hi, my name is Geramee Hensley. I'm reading to you from a basement and also where I sleep in Ohio. I just want to thank Kevin, Andrew, everyone at BARNHOUSE for putting this on. Well, I'm just going to read 4 poems. Here's the first one. It's called Feeding Cycle. Dear fat tongue rendered out the belly of a dead god, dear mobile of black teeth and stained glass, I am your deliverer. Do not let today's provisions be a bullet down the esophagus, too much rice, a hail of gunfire, what my cousins and I call rice clog, too much rice cast shadow in a pit where there shouldn't be shadow. Is there a history that is not edible? What about a myth that ain't crispy? Before we built boats, the ocean was an excess of Navy craving. Good God, I have wrecked my body with excess. Dear earthquake magnet, dear caterpillar cannibalizing its own egg. Arrange the stretch marks just right, and you'll have a map dreaming of water. Water where there shouldn't be water. I am the patron saint of mouth and gut. I have explored foreign worlds with just my teeth and tongue. Oh, the noshing Gnostic, the caustic aquatic, out the rotting faucet, you must change your life. This is what I think as I eat pizza topped with bacon, cheddar, and fried potato skin. Good God, I have wrecked my body with excess. Dear Rainer Maria Rilke, this is how you must approach a bullet, laughing and like a bigger bullet. So, the next poem, did I say I hope everyone is safe and well? I don't remember if I did, but I do hope that. This poem is called Anxiety. If I find the golden lock that makes my life click like an antique jewelry box, I might skid through this whole life thing as a passable person and not an 8-legged horse horrifically galloping cardinal and intercardinal directions. Is it you can't go the wrong way if you go every way, or if you go every way, your whole body gets rended by its own momentum? I know the answer to the riddle. To answer it all is to accept the impossibility of your incandescent organs in a body without windows. Cornered in a chamber without light, one might tempt an unnatural opening of the body, bound only by the 4th dimension. A wound can be created anywhere, so some physicists urge we'll never fully understand them, how they behave like electrons, localize, then delocalize, particle, then wave, here, then gone, leaving behind just one question. If a wound is an absence that, what do you call the in its wake? It's a sick joke, I know, and it still makes me cry smile on days like this. The whole of my body a funeral birth, my missing pasted on the backs of milk cartons and neighbors bringing empty hands expecting reward. But why stop there? I've watched entire unfurl into lambency. I've seen it and I'm ready. I feel my jewel box unfasten, the horses unbound. So I'm gonna read some newer stuff too. This poem is a duplex, maybe written within the last few weeks. It's called Self-Portrait of the Artist is Hollow Hollow. Razor the block to make something sweet. Milk, beans, custard, jackfruit, gelatin. Milk, beans, jackfruit, men, gelatin, women. Some desserts aren't sweet, but what's eaten last? What's eaten last we name dessert. To be deserted does not make one a dessert. To make a dessert, we must admit an ending. It's not about hunger, it's about ending. I am always hungry and looking to an end. Men, women, spoon, scraping, glass bottom, spoon, and satisfaction's music. Take the ice out of me, but cold emanates. Cold emanates, and now it's about hunger. Razor, block, razor, something sweet. So, this is the last poem I'm going to read. Can you still see me? Yeah, it's probably fine. It's called Elegy for My Mother's Daughter. Dear Ma, I inherit your laughter and ferry it to a future you cannot follow me to. Snapping the ribs of a song creates a new one. I won't call it better, but I will call it at 2 a.m. when my throat's battery indicator is a thin red traffic line I will swerve through, my voice hungry for the break of a rule. When a rule breaks, powder puffs out, and if you breathe this dust, you become a rule, and it isn't pretty. Ma, I am not a son, and you are not just a mother. I think a part of me is the daughter you always wanted, but everyone wants me to be a rule, so I hollow the inside of my body and live in it. Hollowed is the ground you walk, so remove your sandals, says God, and I take off my feet. When I was little, I believed money was a unit of measure for freedom. Now I know it's much worse than that. Prophets don't proffer for profit in opposite land. When I want to remember a time before I was born, I listen to the sound of rushing water. The weather under my skin has not always been there, and when it moves into a future I cannot follow, I hope it will laugh like my mother's daughter. Thank you. This is for Kevin's thumbnail. He said I wouldn't do it, but here we go. This video's gonna get millions of views now, possibly. Good thumbnail.
I'm here with award-winning writer.
Actually, no awards.
Oh. I'm here with indie author Alex DiFrancesco, author of the books All City, Cyclopomps, and Bird is the Word. Alex, let's talk about your drafting process. So when you're writing a new book, how do you go through that?
I write on the wall of a cramped space in my own feces.
So there was a poem in your book, Bird is the Word, and a Nickelback song. How do you feel about that?
Nickelback can suck my dick.
So one more question for you, Alex, and then you can go.
I'm not gonna answer until you give me a cigarette.
Fucking divas. Here. What is your favorite Adam Sandler movie?
I'm actually thinking about this seriously for the first time in this whole interview.
Hey, it's the fake Leif Dukas. Matt Mitchell. The best.
Hello, my name is Matt Mitchell, and I will be reading 4 poems today for this series. It's not on Netflix. I'd like to thank Kevin and the entire Barnhouse crew for allowing me to share such a wonderful and welcoming space with 3 other incredible writers. So, thank you. So the first poem that I'm going to read is titled The Neon Hollywood Cowboy. I could have been a real good cowboy. I could have dissolved into the western sunset. I could have opened my mouth wide and let the rhinestones crawl out like cattle at dawn. Intersex people are the best cowboys. Me, chromosome chain of a tender rodeo sweetheart, body of a rugged outlaw. The best cowboys carry both the gun and the holster. My second poem that I'm going to read is from my forthcoming collection of etymology poems that is being published by Grieveland. This one is titled The Etymology of God. Noun. Also, wind. Old English god, supreme explosion of burials, from Proto-Germanic Guthon, which is of uncertain origin. Gospels leaking from cathedral basements in the middle of a baptism for these deformed fucking arms and legs. My unconscious corpse on a surgical table while summer breeze spills from the operating room radio. The yellowing prescription paper, the yellowing skin of my cheeks. This body, this body, this body, which is of uncertain origin. The next poem that I'm going to read is titled Light Years. It's finally time I admit I was stoned off light pollution every time I said Cleveland was my Rushmore, and you were stoned every time you said it was yours too. But weren't we beautiful when the lake dissolved into a sun, or was it a sun dissolved into the lake? Not even God can distinguish where the beauty ended and heaven began. There are purple skies above the skyline's teeth. Sometimes you can see them from Lakewood, if you still believe in colors. There used to be mourning doves kissing in the Bradford pear trees, before the city became a stomach full of license plates and plastic 6-pack rings. I remember seeing all of it. Greetings from Cleveland, Ohio postcards don't exist. But I suppose it is easier for us to imagine a better world when we aren't in it. Yet I still dream. I dream a cruise ship brimming with a million hope diamonds washes ashore near the flats. I dream the magazines stop writing about the Euclid Avenue revival and start writing about how I kiss all of my beloveds goodbye before they walk into the belly of a raining night sky full of unnamed comets. This is a love poem, believe it or not. A love poem dedicated to the time I stole my neighbor's shovel and dug and dug and dug until I was so far down that the earth broke open and revealed 100 new habitable planets. My partner says every planet is its own ocean. I wish I could stop loving so hard and finally learn how to swim. Did you know it takes 4.3 years for the light of the Alpha Centauri star to reach Earth? With that kind of time, you could build 226 new Earths. I wonder how many of those Earths I would live on. How many times could I relearn how to kiss someone? How many Earths would get swallowed by the sun? How many apocalypses? Because every apocalypse movie begins the same way. Survivors collecting historical relics. This happened in Cleveland once, long before any of us were born, so of course we don't remember. Freight ships housed mammoth fossils and dinosaur skeletons. The Mona Lisa was on display in public square. There were great white sharks and emperor penguins in Lake Erie. Pieces of the Titanic lay in the sand along Edgewater Beach. There was a bomb shelter beneath Municipal Stadium where presidents and Apple stockholders slept. But after 226 dying Earths brimming with Revolutionary War muskets and our parents' Frampton Comes Alive records, all that's left is me walking down Prospect Avenue with my partner, picking up every dead firefly off the sidewalk, asking her to bring each of them back to life. I want to kiss her in every one of her atoms, stardust and all. I hope we both still remember how. Wet lips against wet lips, small cut of teeth pull, restrained tongues. I've hit another growth spurt since I last saw her. She always said I'm as tall as Terminal Tower. But does she remember when we climbed to the top? closed our eyes, and pulled the sun out of the sky and into our hands and drank from it. When the world ends, language will swallow all of the light. Our only lanterns will be poems, and this is my poem, and the words can mean whatever I want them to. So I am a god, and you are all gods too. Mosquito Lake is filled with sapphires. There are polar bears in Antarctica drinking Coca-Cola out of glaciers. Heaven is the band of coyotes singing Bat Out of Hell in my woods. I can reach my hand out of any car window and touch every star. Show me the finger grooves worn into your steering wheel, and I'll tell you who put them there. The mourning doves are kissing in the Bradford pear trees. Alpha Centauri's light reaches an open bed of galaxy where Earth once was and smiles because it can finally be rediscovered. There are more sunsets to come, I promise. There are more, so many more sunsets. My partner and I had a picnic behind the English department building. She said she didn't understand how astronomers know so much about the sun, how we can predict the life of something we can't touch. I told her to think of the hundreds of Clevelanders falling to their knees at the sight of the river burning, whispering, how beautiful this warmth, how impossible to put this all back together. So my last poem is a friendship poem, and it is originally dedicated to my long-distance friends, Gabby, Andy, and Boston Spencer, but it is newly dedicated to all of my Cleveland friends because the pandemic has rendered us all long-distance friends. This one is titled The Last Great American Whale. I strangle clocks by burying my feet in a field of chrysanthemums, listening to the jet planes and cardinals sing Coney Island Baby by Lou Reed. Do you remember when we jogged along the coast of Monterey Bay singing that? There will always be a bloating gam of whales scraping us off the California coast. Ask me if the sky is as big today as it was the last time I saw you. My laughter will climb up every cloud and out of God's skylight just to say yes. Our eyes are always taking notes for the poems we haven't written yet. I know you still walk into the mouths of sunsets, asking the wind to sing the names of every body you miss. I still kiss the pink dusk on the mouth to tell you I love you. I am planting mountains named after you in every state I visit, listening for your voices humming. I swear I'd give the whole thing up for you. In the corners of spring, swelling with our running legs the color of sunburnt lemonade, what I would give for our homes to be each other's again. Thank you.
Love Barnhouse. Barnhouse! 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 Barnhouse!
What the fuck is Barnhouse?
Hey, Kevin. Hey, how's it going? Hey, buddy, what's going on? I'm just getting the place ready for DBQ, you know. DBQ? Who the hell is DBQ? That's David Byron Queen. David Byron Queen?
Hello, my name is David Byron Queen, and I'm coming to you from New York City. I just want to thank Barnhouse for putting together this amazing reading series. Kevin, Andrew, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank the other readers. I love your work so much. Matt and Never and Sadie, what an honor to be reading my words with you. This is so cool. So I hope everyone is well. I hope you're safe. And I hope you're making it through okay during this really challenging time. So I'm going to read a short excerpt from a novel I'm working on at the moment. All I'll say ahead of time is that it takes place on a small island in the Caribbean, and it's set in 1972. So, thanks so much. I hope you enjoy. The van brought them out across to the northwest part of the island, a part of the island Jack had not yet been, an arid, treeless, sandy stretch of rocky overgrowth, giving almost no indication of the lush tropical jungles just over the mountains. They got out and walked for an hour, occasionally stopping for water. A mustached older man watched Jack, perched upon tough, thin, muscular legs. A ciliated skin tag on his neck, below the left ear, seemed to rove and fatten, depending on the light. In his eyes, he appeared to signify just the faintest recognition of Jack's trespassing rank, but he did nothing, handed him his water. The rest of the group consisted of young men and women of varying ages, sizes. One woman had her face so caked with makeup that it had begun to break apart in the heat, her face cracking in the sun like a painted egg. Her discomfort was visible and present among the group, but nothing was done. From what Jack could gather from the faces around him, everything that was happening was what had been expected to happen, even agreed upon to happen, and there was no pretense, no underlying sense of liability or fear. The mountains, close and yet suspect through the heat, seemed to grow further and further away the longer they walked toward them. Their presence, a mirage created by the sand every walked mile, recalibrating to the Earth's tectonic curvature. Above the ocean to their left, a piercing azure sky Jack had never seen anywhere else in the world. A perfect blue totality, marred only by the occasional lull of low-hang cirrus. A few faintly perceptible, darkish blots above the clash of water and sky that appeared to him like stretch marks on a balloon pumped with too much air. Wind swept around them, creating much-needed circulation. Jack wiped sweat from his hairline. His hydration was becoming a concern, along with the fresh sunburns tightening his skin. A pressed thumb into his forearm, when he pulled it away, revealed a bright white print, swelling before returning to a vicious shade of red. Not long after they linked with a barely visible path, its truck tire indentations opened a slight shaft of hope on Jack's heat-cooked brain, which felt in his skull like the meaty part of an oyster beaching in the sun. They ticked through a rosette of snaggy henequen, out of which a dry sword-like arm scored a thin vertical notch on the side of Jack's knee, below the hem of his denim shorts. It stung, a result of contact with the sweat dripping down his thighs. He made a noise and was shunned by startled glances. Panic came at the awareness of his sudden codependence, his confinement, trapped on all sides, ocean, mountain, sky. All so hot and unforgiving, without any water or food or supplies of his own. He kept his head down and carried on. The path soon split at a three-pronged junction in the dust. After taking the left, they stopped to sit in the shade of a nearby palm tree. 2 and 3 of them at a time, retrieving from their backpacks fruit and granola. Their lips smacked and their teeth tore through the food without a thought to its enjoyment. An act of pure sustenance. It disturbed Jack to see it. A line seemed to collapse before his eyes. He tripped for a moment on the idea that each person on Earth was only a few hours away from returning to a more feral, instinctive state of being. This time he waited for his turn, but he wasn't offered anything. No water, no food. His hunger burned. The acids clamored away in his stomach, and he needed water. His chapped lips had taken on the thin, brittle textures of stale phyllo. After the break, they continued on their rectilinear trajectory. The sun had lofted into the zenithal hinge of the sky, bleached white, bloated, ticking like a skillet-gummed egg. It must have been around noon, but he'd lost track. Time warped and contrived. Though they'd walked several miles, the mountains appeared no closer. They passed a rock formation, smooth, round nuggets of sepia monzo granite stacked erratically, precariously on top of each other, as if any portion were removed, the entire structure would collapse. Its one humped profile, shaped in his vision a colossal ungulate against the sky. As Jack stared at the formation, he noticed movement beyond. He couldn't tell at first if it was real or not, but he could see 5 or so dark, distant specks. They continued in their direction. The specks began their mitotic rifts along the horizon. They soon doubled, tripled, though he still couldn't identify them. They were treading on an incline then, likely only a degree or two different, but he felt it in and all through his calves. Dehydration. His knees felt weak, and there was a baseball-sized knot causing him pain on his right side. His eyes burned. His head felt loose and heavy atop his shoulders. The specks began to dilate ever so slightly. Out then, back then, out again. Soft, concentric swirls. There, limbs and heads and hands bobbling against the horizon. There were more of them waiting. The extraterrestrial shapes assumed a humanoid appearance. Sweat cascaded down the back and sides of Jack's neck, but he felt a new and joyful solace at the appearance of someone. Something. Anything else. The bodies approached. 20, 30 of them, their distinctions filling out slowly, steadily, the murky detail of their faces and bodies revealed. Same white t-shirts, same zombified expressions. The two groups merged. Behind them was a wide sandy entrance into a thicket of jungle at the base of a cliff. In a line, they began to stagger up the sandy hill, disappearing into the dark mouth of the jungle, like a long snake disappearing into a hole. Jack took up at the end of the line, awaiting his turn. He weighed his options. Would he be able to find his way back to town without any fresh water or food? He wasn't sure. His arms and legs felt weak, and his thighs wobbled as his boots plunged into the heavy sand moving up the hill, into the jungle. The shade was a relief. It felt like a cooling aloe seeping across his body. From there, the group moved in a single file line, along a zigzagging path that worked its way upward, up through the jungle, up into the hills. Several of the men held long machetes and hacked away at any overgrowth along the path, their blades striking the twisting roots of trees with a satisfying crack like a bat striking a clean-line drive. They made their way, one by one, up the trail, trudging for what seemed like several hours, before reaching a wide clearing out of a jutting plateau. There were 3 roundish buildings, military-like, Quonset huts, with solar panels on the roofs that locked in the sun and reflected it back at a defiant angle. Several dozen tents were lined in rows behind them. The scene was oddly pleasing in its raw, makeshift way. As they grew closer, the bodies of the men and women before them appeared in tactile, expository detail, and in them Jack began to recognize an uncanny familiarity. In their faces he saw the same drugged, docile blankness as all the others. He was feverish as a result of dehydration and fatigue. His heart bashed against his ribcage. The unease of it ignited his spine, his tongue limp and sour in his mouth like a rotten banana peel. Soon they were surrounded by these ghostly figures, moving around them, through them, continuing on. All white shirts and matching slogans. What was he seeing? their sunken eyes and shaggy hair, the pained hunch in their shoulders. Dust kicked up from around the side of one of the central huts. The cloud expanded into the air, barreled toward them. The group came to a halt. Within the dust cloud, Jack saw a row of vehicles. Each prowled forward with the rolling attack of a jungle cat. All white, a hellish set of horns roped to the grill of each, charging before they veered in front of them, fishtailing to an uncertain stop. Within each cockpit was a group of men wearing black balaclavas and military fatigues, shouldering AK-47s. They leapt down off the vehicle and surrounded the group, herding them like sheep, prodding them with their rifles. The group redirected towards a large hut in the center of the clearing. Jack followed them inside. That's it. Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be able to read to you. So stay safe, take care.
What the fuck was that?
You smoking? I don't know who this fucking Angela guy is. What the hell is he talking about?
Up next, Sadie Dupuis!
Hey, I'm Sadie Dupuis. I want to say thanks to Kevin and Barnhouse for asking me to read today. This is my Netflix debut. I couldn't be happier to make it with this series is on Netflix. I'm going to read, if you can even believe it, I'm going to read some poems to you. I'm going to start right now. Okay. This man doesn't want to make music with me. Because I hate the corporation which built the spatters, slatterns, bars across the sky. The corporation which goads us to blink less, float glumly and night terror through the hallways of another nostalgia-closed chain store. The corporateer, injecting a poison thus in my mandible. The corporate memo advising me I'm not hot, but should be. Not in the way of liking glitter and slits all at once, but a face formed of play-place elastica. The corporate board tucking me in at night. Another decade of loving CFO and CTO. Awake, shaken, gazing a hole into spheric glows that govern me. Making music alone. I hated him back. Okay, this one's called Fake Blood on a Fake Fur Coat. On a dark ride with my devious nature, what can I manifest, filling hole after hole? Blue flame for power, black flame for tender. Days of uncleanliness patterned like a remedy. One gnat for the drinking glass, dried onion on the stairs. It's the second month of the year, and the second hour after midnight. Make your home uncomfortable if you really want to leave. But I really want to wait it out here. Till the end of ends, under the puffy endlessness, hands in the holes in the satin pockets, confined in the deep silk of uncharacteristic weather, which never again changes. Only my ego, and it's splattered. This one is called This is a mug from Earthquaker Devices from Akron, Ohio. This one is called Horse Haven Road. These are all new poems. I don't know the titles of them now or ever. Horse Haven Road. I declined to give my interview atop the mound of sputum. Why not highlight the sputum itself? I asked the reporter, sinking down my gelatinous platform. Schmoozing it up in the cytoplasm, I passed on the unpaid opportunity to make marvels from this sick. I cleared space for the gunk and slime to enter me, to speak through me, to fill me up so huge, everyone would be forced to stare at the goop-stuffed husk. We charged $5 for a mucosal postcard, 10 for a kiss caked in bile. This is how we grow the warm blood mountain. Horses don't have these concerns. This is called The Lance Goes Through. I started crying to songs that made me cry, piling boulders atop my fretful parts. Every night I think, oh, it's night again. Every morning I guess I better get. Then, oh no, there's a stain, and all day I've showed it off for the right people. In raspberry tulle, wielding a kitchen knife. Dial my phone to finish the riddle. The difference between mania and ringing a bell. Only one makes me make bad wishes. This one's called Girl Who Ignores Me. You're not to let 2 days get away from you. White petals floating in the dirty gray bath. Follow the bus to the pharmacopoeia, incantatory saline, unseeable salve, also young, so sick. White petals circumnavigate the empty street. There's not much time to find a door out. White petals raining from the ceiling, white petals from the skies. White petals crowning the others ignite me. This one's called The Great Outdoer. A hologram trims my dead ends. A robot performs my chiropractic adjustments. A simulacrum psychoanalyzes me while a cyborg doles out the antidepressants. One screen reads tarot. The other screen exercises my flanks, obliques. My best friend connects via Bluetooth. The joys of multi-monitoring while the wet world is manic. In lieu of a westernmost window, this immersion panel with HD scratch and sniff sunset. I'm gonna read one that I wrote at Mayhall's. Every time I play there, I feel like I say the same thing on stage, which is, I don't know if it's Mayhall's or Mahall's. I hear people say it both ways. Maybe, now that I'm on Netflix, I've truly embarrassed myself by pronouncing this venue bowling alley both ways. But I wrote this in the bathroom there, which is one of my favorite bathrooms anywhere. Beautiful. What I wouldn't give for a Mayhall's bathroom selfie right now. Okay, bowling a 666. Today I saw the best movie ever. Today I drank the best tonic. It was bought for me. My ambition keeps me fixed to the prattly center part of a guitarist with no dynamics. He's male. I can't do the book about the boy who becomes. I can't do the flick about the man who perseveres. Friday the 10th, and it's not auspicious. In the mint washroom, with yellowed egg wall prints, constructing a mental self-portrait for a lineup of pinups. It isn't my choice if the work turns out good. I know I can do fucking sick shit all the time, yada. But all the arrangements spat out of the stars where I'm from. Reprieve from the machismo of an excessive quiet. The anxiousness of sitting in a home without purpose, dying for the real agenda to blast up and away. Yes, I promise I come from the stars. Laid out on my back as the boredom chords wash out and in. Never, ever, ever, ever looking. Okay, how did I do on time here? I should read one more, huh? I'm gonna read one from my actual book, but I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave you for a minute. Here, I'm still here though. Here I go. You would think I would have, like, brought the book to this table before I started reading to you. This is my book, Mouth Guard. It came out a couple years ago. This one's called Salt Circle. There's a good salon. I get eyelashes glued there an inch from my birth eyes. The lashes I got, they shine right when damp, so I go in the pond with you. In some cases, plenty, you lose. Out on the grass and on trees. You didn't go inside the real one, and you never were. Some people like mysteries, but only once they solve them. I guess it's like doing a good deed and printing it in the newspaper. I'm not obsessed by dying, only I already got underwater and wet. I like the bare, truthless cavities, but I don't want to test out my eyes there. Like a star kicks away from its 5 points. It bruises and burns to the dirt, to the sphere in the dirt, which I drew there. Okay, thanks. I have been Sadie Dupuis, Barnhouse Journal. Thank you for putting me on Netflix.
Well, wasn't that great? Barnhouse, all these wonderful readers. Matt Mitchell, Sadie Dupuis, special night. A spooky, scary night. Barnhouse. Sanctuary.